Everybody get up.
Good Monday morning to you. This is Sissy Fegelstaller, and you're listening to whoopfm.com. You're listening to 99.9 and whoopfm.com. I don't have my earphones with me, so I'm listening. I'm just listening as we're in the studio. So happy St. Patrick's Day to you. And no, I do not have my green on. Lisa does. She's all decked out here. But and I have a wonderful guest in the studio. And the girl that's sitting next to me is Rochelle Haddock. And Rochelle is actually somebody that I grew up with. We went to GPS together and we used to carpool. So I haven't seen her in a really long time. I don't think I've seen her since her wedding day. It was, I think you were.
That was at least 10 years ago.
Yeah. Well, actually, you know, the funny thing is, I think I remember running into you. Maybe you were getting your bridal portrait made. And so you were getting your makeup done at the mall.
Okay.
And so, yeah, so that's the last time I remember seeing her. And so she's been married 10 years?
10 years.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So she's married to Chris Haddock, who is a doctor in Ringgold.
He's a family practitioner with Erlanger South Family Medicine down in Ringgold. We live down in Ringgold, and so
And I remember when they used to date. They'd come to little dinner programs that we had, and he was in the residency program finishing up.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we've known each other a long time. And then, of course, we're Facebook friends. Like, you know, you keep in touch with people through Facebook and then reconnected. So she is in charge of Styleworks this year for Siskin. So if you've never heard of that, it's a great fundraiser for them, but it's also a great Girls' Day out. So I know last week, well, you know what? It was 2 weeks ago, I talked about the fashion show coming up soon here in Cleveland at the Museum Center, and that was Fiberworks. Now, that is hand-dyed and handmade clothing. This is a little bit different. This is a very large fashion show that's oftentimes it's put on by Belk.
Yes. Belk is our fashion show provider.
And so I went a few years ago, and I can tell you it is so much fun. The great thing about it is that you get a group of your girlfriends together, you buy a table or two, and you do a lot of shopping. And first and foremost, Rochelle, tell us exactly what it goes to support.
Okay, well, sometimes people get confused between Siskin Rehabilitation Hospital in downtown Chattanooga, but I am here representing Siskin Children's Institute, and it is located also in downtown Chattanooga. But the Institute, its purpose is to make life better for children of all abilities through education, outreach, health care, and research. And one of the things that they provide is an early learning center, which combines typically developing children, which my two boys, age 3 and 5, are there. Grady's in pre-K there. But it incorporates the children with the special needs in those classrooms as well, so that they can be a part of the typically developing children and how they learn and that type of thing. And then my children are exposed to these beautiful little souls, and they learn that nobody has a label and nobody is any different, and they're just all kids, and it's just wonderful.
I find it interesting here in town. A lot of you guys know Joe and Janie Moore, and their daughter Sarah Moore, and so she's had her son at Siskin for a number of years, and now he goes to a local elementary school here, and they just had the best experience with him because he was able to be in that environment. So it's not like they put all of the special needs kids together. It's a mixture. And so each learns from the other. It's not just, so sometimes people might think, well, why would I not send my kids there if they are typically developing and they don't have any issues they need to work through? Well, it's because they learn so much more, how to have a giving heart, empathy for others, and they learn that there's more than one way to do things.
Compassion, there's more than one way to do things. They learn to look around, and now my 3 and my 5-year-old might see a child with Down syndrome or a child in a wheelchair with cerebral palsy. Doesn't faze them. To them, they don't understand why Sally can't do something they can do, because at Siskin, Sally can sure do it. And the teachers work with them, and they teach them, and you're right, it's empathy and it's compassion, and they're just tiny little blank slates. And if you start early, then for the rest of their lives, my children will go through their life, and eventually they're going to be touched by the outside world and reality and understand that there are some differences, but they're not going to think those children are any experiencing any less of a life than they are.
I think it's a great program because oftentimes our kids don't get to be around other kids like that, and then when they see it, they're a little startled, and so they may not mean to make a comment, or the look on their face.
Right. They're just children, and they're honest, and they might say, "Mommy, why does that little boy look differently?" or "Why is she in a wheelchair?" And Siskin Children's Institute covers a broad range of different diagnoses, from autism to Down syndrome to physical disabilities. You know, anything and everything, that they run the gambit. And you never know how a child is going to react. But then Grady, he's now my 5-year-old. We first started him when he was 3 at Siskin. He had a precious little boy. We're still close friends with his family, named Hudson. He was in a wheelchair. He suffered a grade 4 brain bleed when he was born, and so he doesn't have physical capabilities. He cannot communicate, that type of thing. Well, Grady looked at him when they were playing in the sandbox one day, and the teachers always encouraged them to play with each other. So Grady goes and gets a cookie sheet, puts sand on it, lays it across Hudson's wheelchair. Because why shouldn't Hudson be able to play in the sand? I mean, It is amazing. You hear every day what your children can teach you, and they just humble me every day. And the staff, they are so wonderful and patient and good with the kids. And the developmental center actually reaches out through all of southeastern Tennessee. They do home visits, that type of thing. So it's not just the early learning center. That's what I'm most active in because of my boys. But the developmental center is very far reaching in their programs.
And there are 2 locations, right, for Siskin?
Well, there's Siskin Rehabilitation Hospital, and then there's Siskin Children's Institute, which is downtown. And there is an East Brainerd campus, but at the end of this year, due to a myriad of reasons, including fiscal reasons, that campus is having to close, and so it will just be the downtown school now.
Okay. And so this is the big fundraiser, though, right?
This is a huge fundraiser. The biggest fundraiser that Siskin does is Star Night. This is second only to Star Night, and it's called Styleworks. And what it is we tout it as fashion with compassion. And so we have the Wednesday night, which is April 30th. We call that the Sip and Shop, and that's from 5 to 8 p.m. All of this is taking place at the Chattanooga Trading Convention Center downtown on Carter Street. And that night we will have our marketplace, which will include about 43 vendors open. First Tennessee is our sponsor for the Sip and Shop, and our vendors this year include Roan Regency. They're coming back as a legacy vendor. They've participated with us in this event for over 30 years. We have Cobblestone Rue. We have Mary Kay. We have Graceware, Shuptrine's art gallery, as well as their Twisted products. So we have a myriad of vendors. You know, the Sandbox for children. We have children's clothes. We have women's clothes. We have jewelry.
And typically from Cleveland, we do get a couple from Cleveland. I believe Pat Fuller will be there with the Orange Blossom.
Yes, thank you for reminding me that.
Sorry about that, Pat.
Yes, the Orange Blossom will be there. Thank you.
And if you're a business owner listening, this is a great place to get a booth, because Pat comes back each year because she said it is a great way of advertising for her. She has a great number of sales that day, plus it brings a lot of people from Chattanooga into Cleveland to shop. So if that's something you're thinking about doing, this is a great way to get your name out there.
Yeah, we have a limited number left, so please get in touch with me. But the booth, for the size for a vendor, 10 by 10 is $350. 10 by 20 is $600. And on the Sip and Shop, we usually have around 200 to 300 attendees come in. Girls' Night Out, we're going to have manis and petties provided. Nico's Hair Salon out of Chattanooga will be doing cutting of bangs and shaping up of bangs. We will have some massages provided. We have signature cocktails, lots of fun stuff. Clay Watson's providing us with a car that we're still trying to work out some fun little things which we might be able to do with that one, as well as CBL. And then the next day, the fashion show, which is sponsored by Belk and Hamaco. We usually have about 850 attendees. And what we do is we open the morning at 10 o'clock. We have the marketplace open. Come in, sip and shop, see all what's out there, have a mimosa, meet your friends. And then at 11:30, we have the luncheon. We come in and we sit down. We have a short program. And then we move to the next room, and that's where Belk puts on this fashion show. Yeah. And this is a big deal, and it's beautiful and it's fun to watch, and we have a huge stage and good lights, and some of our Siskin alum, they come back and they walk with the models. That's and help us do some modeling as well. And then you can go back, and then the marketplace is open again from 1 to 3 p.m. and that's on Thursday, May 1st.
Just to tell you some of the great takeaways that I've had from the Styleworks, a couple of years ago, I hated that I missed, though, they had Karen Kane who came in.
Yes, I think it was 2 years ago.
She is my favorite. I mean, I go to her section first when I go to Belk, and I love Karen Kane and everything. And so I hated that I missed that. But some of the great takeaways. In fact, the other day I needed a strand of pearls for something, and I pulled out a strand of pearls, and it was a long strand. And you know how whenever you're trying to, one way you can tell if pearls are real is you kind of go take them on your teeth. From across your teeth. If they make that kind of uncomfortable, gritty, really yicky, screechy sound, then they're real. And so I did that with those, and I thought, these are real pearls, but I can't figure out, where did I get these? Who gave these to me? Like, I couldn't figure out where I came across. And then I remembered, it was from 2 or 3 years ago at Styleworks. Mm-hmm. They were giving away a strand of pearls for the first 50 people that left Styleworks and went to their store. Mm-hmm. So my friend and I, we were like pushing people aside, knocking down old ladies, busting it to the car, hustling out there, and we got our free pearls. And it's a lot. I know, and they're really nice. And now I think back, I can't believe they did that. But I think it was for the first 50 or 100 people.
Well, and they provide gift cards for the gift bags and usually some makeup samples as well. And I mean, and this fashion show is fun and upbeat, and we have some beautiful models and some good looking male models too that the women tend to get really excited
when they come out. It's almost like you forget that you're at a nice fashion show, and all of a sudden you think you're at a strip club. Woo! You're like, take it off. This poor men are like, I'm never coming back. Well, maybe next year, one time.
But it's a great, fun event, very dear to my heart. The Sisskin Institute is very, very special to us, and all this goes back to help continuing to fund the programs and support the children and the staff. And it's just a great event. And tickets, you can come Wednesday night if you can't come during the day Thursday. Those tickets you can get online. They're $25, or you can buy the ticket for Thursday if you just want to buy an individual ticket. That's $65, but that includes the Wednesday night preview party.
Okay.
So, so it's a great price. Or then you can buy, as you mentioned, tables and that kind of thing. And everything, if you go online to Siskin, which is SISKIN.org, and then you can search or / Styleworks, which is one word, you can find all the sponsorship opportunities. You can find ticket information and that type of thing.
I know that on the shopping, when I've been there before, I found great deals on things too, unique things. They have beautiful handmade jewelry. And I'm not talking about like the little beads that a mom might put together, really nice, good pieces. And then you may go around and you'll see a plastic surgeon's office there, and they're giving free cold wraps. I ended up with a bag full of free stuff.
Right.
And it was good stuff. Larimar once gave out $20 gift cards to their spa, and Hair Benders gave out great stuff too. And then when
Little Debbie is there passing out.
Yeah. I mean, you can really find a lot, and they'll have an eclectic group of people there too. Anything and everything. I'll usually leave with some toys for my kids that I maybe got from Learning Express or wherever like that, and I've left with jewelry. And so you'll find an eclectic mix. You'll be able to get a drink, walk around for that shopping, and then you go in and you have a really nice luncheon. And the highlight to me too is that you see so many people that you know. And I was really excited the last time I was there because I got to see Nell Money. Yeah. And I read her article every Saturday in the paper. I always read her article, and she's so wonderful. And so when I got to see her, it was like seeing a celebrity. And it's packed out. How many people would you say you typically have?
On the Thursday event, we average right around maybe 850 to 900 attendees, because we have right around 110 to 120 tables, and each table seats 8. And so it is a huge event. A lot of corporations purchase tables for their employees to come, to be able to do the donation. And that way,
we need to figure out who these people are, and we need to get a job. That's really nice.
Lots of friends come. A lot of the Siskin moms get together and do tables and that type of thing. So I mean, it's a big event.
If you want to do the Thursday event only, what did you say the ticket price was?
$65.
And you can request to be at the same table with your friends, right?
Yes. Either you can call, and I don't think I've given you Siskin's phone number yet. Can I get that out real quick? You can call. It's area code 423-648-1730. And I believe that's the direct line to Linda McReynolds, who is our Director of Development and Marketing, and she can answer any and all questions about that. And you can request to sit with your friends. Like I said, each table seats 8, and we've got a couple special things planned for this year that I think will really help make an impact on people.
The last time I was there, I had so many friends. I put out a little email on Facebook and said, hey, who's interested in going? And so many people came together, and they were like, I do. Well, I bought one table, and then it ended up turning into 2. then it turned into 3. So we had 3 tables of girls going. We had the best time that day. And I felt like it was really a treat because, you know, how often do you get to go to a fashion show, which I know this sounds podunk country of me, but it's like a fashion show you might see in New York with the long runway.
It's very impressive, the long runway and the lights and the music and the models. And it's fun. And, you know, I always joke, you know, today is my day of the year to be a lady who lunches. You know,
it's the truth.
And you can dress up in, you know, your spring finery and go out and sit down and have a good time. And it's all for a good cause, which is so important. And when you see those children in that runway show and you realize how Siskin has helped them, and it just blows you away.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love the shopping. I love the lunch. The lunch is always really good, and a time out with your girlfriends. And so it's worth getting a babysitter if you've got little ones at home to make the time to do that.
Yes.
And you know, it may sound like it's a lot, $65, but that covers your lunch. And I'm telling you, I always leave with a bunch of giveaways and
swag. There's
lots,
always swag.
And a couple of years, one year I got a bag, I still use this bag. It was a really nice big bag, and Southeastern Salvage had donated it, and they said for the next, say, 2 weeks, if you bring it by, we'll monogram it for free. That was great. I left once with a really nice black shawl that I've worn several times.
Yes, there was a pashmina last year, which was wonderful, that was in the gift bags that was a giveaway. And then this year we're looking at having a special type of actual bag, like you said, like a carry around that you can use to shop and put your purchases and your free stuff in, and then you can keep it with you forever. You know,
see, when our husbands go and they play these golf tournaments, they get a gift bag. Well, this is sort of like our version of the gift bag, but we don't have to be out there sweaty and hot in the sun.
No, it's like going to the Oscars and they give you things.
And we just mosey around and mingle with a cocktail or 2.
Exactly. We always have a signature cocktail this year, and so we'll be debuting that, and lots of fun things, especially on that Wednesday night, the Sip and Shop.
Now, what kind of cocktail is it going to be? Have you decided yet?
Well, it's going to probably have a little bit of champagne in it, a little bit of pomegranate. The color of the year, according to Pantone this year, is Radiant Orchid, and it's a beautiful purple, pinky, purplish kind of color. And so we're tying that color in all the way through.
What's Pantone?
Pantone is the color gods, so to speak. They're the ones who make out the Pantone book, and they have all the different colors that graphic artists and designers and everybody uses. And every year they pick out or a palette of colors that is the color of the year. And last year it was a beautiful green, similar to what's on our walls here. Yeah. But this year it's called Radiant Orchid, and it's a beautiful, like I said, a fuchsia sort of purpley color, and we're taking that, running with that all the way through our decorations and designs. And it's actually, I have it right here. That's the color.
Oh yeah.
Sorry guys, I know you can't see that. I'm showing
if you're
her
watching
a pamphlet.
online, you can kind of see a little bit. But I tell you that that's the one thing too, is because you kind of see what's coming about. Like when I went a few years ago, they went through and they said the Gladiator shoes are really popular this year, and I had never really seen those, and I thought, really? And I mean, sure enough, all summer long, that's what I would see.
Were everywhere.
So for people like me that I need help, so like I need to see what it's going to be, that's great. And they cover a variety of different styles, price ranges, age ranges, and you'll have a few children in there too, so you get to see that, and it's just a really good place to be. And I know that we have a few families in Cleveland who take advantage of Siskin, and so
my co-chair, her name is Rachel Welch, and both of her children were at Siskin. They were preemies, and they were born premature, and so she spent quite a bit of time in the NICU and that type of thing, and so she has a special affinity for Siskin as well. And so we're both just loving this opportunity.
Did you have to be on a wait list when you decided to send your boys there?
I was on a wait list, except that I wasn't ready to start until several months down the road. So the start date and the wait list sort of coincided. But there typically is a wait list, yes, especially now that unfortunately our East Brainerd campus is closing.
Oh, definitely.
But you can go to Siskin, you can take different tours. Allison Thompson is in charge of that, and you can visit the school and see different things. Like if you think that might be an option coming up for typically developing, it goes through pre-K, which then is usually about, by the time they reach 6, they've aged out of the school. But especially if you have, they take ages, I want to say 6 months up to 6 years for typically developing. And so you can always plan ahead if you have a tiny and you want to look ahead to down the road.
Now, which one do you go to? Which campus are you
Downtown.
at? Okay, so good. So there won't be a change for you. Are
No.
they going to merge the children from Hamilton Place on in?
The special needs children automatically, of course, get preference, and then we're hoping to be able to merge the East Brainerd families who are interested in relocating to the downtown.
That's a big place that they're going to be vacating.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you never know. Things like this could raise money that on down the line they open another one.
Hopefully.
Because there is a need, and since there's already a wait list, it's probably going to become more difficult to get in. And to reach families that are in Cleveland or in Ottawa, they need one there. Because we don't have anything like that around here that I know of where you can experience both children, with special needs and children who are, able.
And a lot of people, they tend to think that maybe what my typically developing boys are doing is coming in second to the special needs children as far as attention from the teachers or the level of education. And it's actually the exact opposite. They do nothing to lower the level of the education or the curriculum that they're working with. They make it a point to work with those special needs kids and help to bring them up to the level of the typically developing. So it's really amazing to watch those children grow and evolve.
So now will Belk be the official sponsor again?
Yes, they are the big sponsor for Thursday and the fashion show, and they will have their huge shopping area right there in the middle of our marketplace where they'll have plenty of different clothes. A lot of it which will be modeled on the fashion show the next day. And so, yes, they are a huge sponsor.
It's interesting. They send a lot of their executives in. And so I know that in the past, Allison Lebovitz's mother has come in, and she's an executive with Belk. I'm not sure what her position is, but like my mother-in-law always says, she has a big job, real big job. And so I just know she has a big job. And she'll usually come in and speak a little bit. And then the models that they get, it's very interesting because you think, who are these people? Where'd they find these people from? But they're oftentimes from Atlanta or Nashville, and they bring them in. And so they're professionals. It's not like they just found Sally over there on all three.
It's not like they asked me to kind of waddle down the... No, yes, it's very well done. They take it to the next level. Very proud to be able to associate myself with their fashion
How did
show.
you end up becoming a co-chair for this?
Well, my husband,
Did you get suckered into this?
Well, a lot of people seem to think I was the last person that they asked. but I mean,
this is a big responsibility.
I have loved Sisskin from day one since we set foot in it 3 years ago. And I did room mom, and then I helped with, the carnival and the room basket. And then this year they asked me to co-chair the SFA, which is the Sisskin Family Association. And then it just sort of developed, and they said, hey, we might need some help with StyleWorks. And I said, sure, yeah, put me down. What do you need me to do? Help look for this or that? And they said, well, we're thinking co-chair. Me? Why me? But yeah, I mean, I love Sisskin. I do anything for them.
Well, that's a big responsibility because, what she had said before is you're looking at about 800 people. That is a major thing to put together. And it's a lot of pressure, too, because, you're wanting to raise a lot of money. And you probably feel like a little bit your name is on the line. So you're doing as much promo as possible.
I just want to do as much promo as possible to get Sisskin as great of a bottom line as we can. Sell as many tickets, get as many vendors, educate people because, like you said, a lot of people don't even, they know of the rehabilitative program, but they're unaware, of what we do with the kids and that type of thing. And so this year we're touting the We Are Sisskin, and it really is going to be very encompassing to show you who all is Sisskin. And it'll floor you because, God love these families that are living and thriving with children with special needs, but it's any socioeconomic group, it's any race. It doesn't matter where you live, it doesn't matter who your parents are, it doesn't matter how great you are at your job. Any mama, and you've lived through your own drama as far as bringing a child into the world, and any mama, any family, anywhere can be affected and wind up in need of our program.
Well, I just can't help but think of the mother that's been in the paper lately in Bradley County and her accident that happened in McDonald with her 2-year-old child. Did you read about that?
I did.
Where she slid on the black ice.
Right.
And so now she's looking for a rehabilitation place, and she's been denied by several. And so I can't imagine. I've just read this, and normally I don't read anything depressing. I try not to because I don't. But Sisskin comes to mind, and those are the types of families that they serve. Are these, what is she going to do? She had this, she's got this daughter who now doctors have said she's brain dead on the left side of her brain, and will have paralysis.
And she'll have a lifetime. That, you know, a lot of these parents, they start explaining things to me, and they start throwing out letters, IEPs, TEIS. I mean, the fight, the constant battles that these parents go to. They go to war for these children every day to make sure that they get the right therapist, and the red tape that they have to go through and make sure that they're, you know, that they get the bus that they want for them, and get to the classes that they want once they transition out of Siskin into the regular, you know, public school system, but then also to make sure that they're getting the rehabilitation, that they're learning to walk. And then
it's like a full-time job.
It is a full-time job. And the majority of these parents are working, both of them, if there are two, working full-time jobs on top of this. And it floors me and it humbles me. And if I can press myself in and host a fashion show and support them, then that is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I couldn't help but think of that mother, and she's been by her daughter's side, and here she is. She's working.
Yeah.
And so what do you do? And she's staying down at the Ronald McDonald House. Yeah. And, you know, you think of a situation like that, and it could have been any of us.
Any of us. And the ones who are lucky and they're surrounded by love and strength, they thrive and they become warriors. And I'm surrounded by these warrior mamas and daddies and these precious tiny little souls who were just born, you know, and they are learning that they're a little bit different. But to be able to thrive in this environment and play with Grady and, you know, my Landon, and they don't treat them any differently, and that's all that they want.
I do hear often people who have been through Siskin with their kids are sad to see when their kids graduate out of it, and then not, you know, it just becomes so emotional. And I feel that way with my boys' preschool, that I think, oh my goodness, we only have 2 more years there, and we will have been there for 8 years. And I'm so attached. But you know, it's sort of like reaching another phase in your life, knowing you have to move on, make way for other people that may be coming through. And
well, 90% of the mornings, because there's always, you know, rough mornings, which I'm sure you can fill us in on here in just a little bit about your rough mornings. But I walk out of that school and I throw up a quick prayer. Thank you, God, for Siskin, and that I love this place, because it is priceless to be able to leave your children, know that they are thriving and happy. And I mean, I'm sure people, you know, feel that way. Parents feel that way about their schools all over, but it holds a very, very special place in my heart.
Yeah, when you leave and you know they're going to have a great time, you know they're going to be learning. It's not a babysitting service, that it's an actual preschool with a curriculum. Feels good. Now you work, right?
Yes, I work 2 days a week. I still work at Sheptrines.
She's been there forever.
Forever. I graduated from the University of Georgia in '98, and I started with them that fall. And I have been with them since then. And it's Sheptrines on Broad Street. We do custom framing, period restoration, fine American art. And then we also have a brand new facet, which many of you may have seen, though I'm not sure we're all the way up into Cleveland yet. I think we are at the Cleveland Ace Hardware, but it's the Sheptrines Twisted products. And it's a whole line of twisted relish and marinade.
Oh, I've had that. It's delicious.
It's wonderful, and it's made from all local fresh ingredients.
Yeah,
and
it's in my refrigerator now. I picked it up when I was at Ace Hardware. We do that. We have them. We've got it at the Ace Hardware in Cleveland, and it's so good. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, what can I put this on? Because I want to put it on everything. But I just use it with my little pita chips.
Yeah, but you can mix it. You do, you know, cream cheese balls, and there are all sorts of recipes on the website about, you know, twisted chicken and twisted sausage balls and twisted fish and all sorts of stuff. And they are actually a vendor at Stalworks this year. So when you come, we'll have samples, and
it's very good.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's got the twisted relishes. He does the custom framing. And then what did you say about the American art?
Fine American art. We sell fine American art, including the watercolor works by our owner, Alan Sheptrine. His father, Hubert Sheptrine, was a nationally renowned artist, and some of you may have seen, he made or created a coffee table book with James Dickey, the author of Deliverance, and it was called Home to Jericho. And many of our parents probably have that book, and our generation is now coming in to learn about Hubert and that type of thing. And Alan has just
I've seen his stuff featured in the Free Press.
Yes, and we just had an article in Blush that's out showing some of his framing and some of his artwork and that kind of thing.
Do you all do art shows there at the storefront?
Different gallery openings, yes. We also have artist workshops when the artists come in, and you can take a class from them. that facet of the business will also be on display at Styleworks, and Alan will be actually doing some on-site watercolor painting as well as some on-site gilding and restorations. You can see, because a lot of people don't understand the gold leaf and the gilding, and we have a whole line of handcrafted crosses that you can have designed, etched on baptisms, memorials, wedding gifts, graduations, a monogram or a date. We had them done for both of our boys on their baptism dates, their initials and then the date at the bottom of the baptism, and then we had them create one for each set of the godparents as well to commemorate that day. So that's something that they'll have at their booth at Styleworks as well.
That's really unique, and that's something that you could say you bought local, that was made local.
Right.
And there's just so many different places you could go, but it's certainly nice when you can find something local.
Right. And handcrafted, it's exactly, you want a design, you bring it to us, and we will do that. There was a woman out of North Carolina whose daughter had gotten married, and she had an artist create a special design for her wedding program, and she faxed that to us, and we were able to recreate and then etch that onto the cross. And for her wedding gift to her daughter, she gave her the gilded cross that had the wedding design on it. So, yeah.
That was really nice.
Yeah, and so unique and priceless. Family heirloom.
Everybody loves that.
Yes.
And everybody loves the personalization.
Yeah.
Well, on another note, I told Lisa I would tell you about my morning. And so my morning, this morning was a little bit crazy. So if you notice when I first started the show this morning, I was a little flustered. It's because this morning has just been the day just great. So I started this morning. I carpool with Sarah Cantrell. A lot of you know her. And Caroline rides in the car with us in the morning. And so from Caldwell Paving, their daughter. And so I had all 5 kids in the car, and we started heading off to Silverdale. And I tried to call Sarah, but I haven't been able to tell her yet because I need to give her the heads up before we pick Caroline up from school this afternoon. I'm sure she'll have a earful from her. So we get in the car, and one of my children, and I won't call him out, but one of my kids said he had to go to the bathroom. And we go through this when you've got little kids, they've always, I got to go to the bathroom. I got to go potty really bad. And I'm always like, how bad? We just left the house, really. Why couldn't you do this before we left the house?
That would be easy, Mom. That would be easy.
And so I said, so I start to pull over on the side of the road because he's like hopping up and down on his seat and he's almost in tears. I said, okay, he's got to go. He said, no, I don't need to go pee-pee. I need to go poo-poo-poo. I said, oh, you got to be kidding me. I said, listen, we'll be at school in like 10, 15 minutes. Can't you just wait? No, I can't wait. So now he's crying. Back there. And he says, I can't hold it any longer. Now I'm going to panic, and I'm just yelling, turning the radio down. We normally listen to Kids Bop on the way. Well, or no Kids Bop this morning because we're all like, everybody's screaming. So pull over. God bless whoever that person was that owns that building that we just went in the parking lot. We couldn't help it. There was no, what do you do? I don't know. If somebody has a solution, fill me in because I don't know. So I pulled over. Caroline's yelling, this is so disgusting. I said, Caroline, just get out of your seat. Get out of your seat. So she gets out. He gets out of the back. And he says, somebody's going to see me. No one's going to see you. Of course, cars are passing by and everything. So it was awful. It was awful. It's a wonder he didn't have a bellyache from the way it was. It got everywhere. All over his shoes, socks, pants, everywhere. And then I said, step forward. And he's just like me. He can't take direction very well. He stepped back in it. I said, oh my gosh. And now it's everywhere, even worse. So I had to strip him down on the side of the road. Cars are passing by. One man pulled in, and I felt the headlights on me. And of course, by then I was so aggravated, I probably could have punched somebody. I was like, what do you want? And he said, oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was the owner that was here. And I was like, no, it's not. So he said, I'm sorry, ma'am. So he just got going. He just, hit the gas and went on. He thought, I'm going to leave that crazy lady alone with the naked kid. Or maybe he thought I was abusing the kid. I don't know. So I had to get him in the back of the car. And so now my car smells real nice and ripe because I have those clothes in the front seat. Did not have time to take them out. So I thought, as I was walking in this morning, I thought, I need to double check, make sure I lock that car door. And I thought, psst, somebody gets into my car.
Nobody's going to take your car.
Nobody's going to take that car. They open the door and get one whiff. They're going to leave it and go on to the next one. So I took him to school. So I said to the other kids, I said, okay, guys, we're going to, you two are going to get out. He's got to stay in the car. So I make 2 drop-offs. So I got a preschool drop-off. I got a school drop-off. So he rode in the back seat all morning, just with a shirt on. And of course, I teased him. I said, you could go into school like this. You think anybody would notice that you're naked from the waist down? And so my other one said, you don't want to go in there and embarrass yourself like that. I said, I'm only teasing. He's not going to go in. So I'm thankful, though, that I've got a great husband because I called him, and he had to get together clean underwear, socks, pants, and meet me at the Burger King in Ottawa. And we switched out because I said, I don't have time to go down there and come back. And if you passed by the Burger King, you would have seen us changing clothes with the kid in the parking lot. And we're those loser people. We couldn't even buy a sandwich. We should have at least bought a sandwich while we were there. And then he was beating his shoes out on the curb. But you know what? You know what? He made it to school. He was late, but he's there sitting in his little seat right now. And now that I think about that, I thought we probably should have hosed those shoes off because I don't know that he's going to have any friends today. Well, it'll be a good learning lesson. Go to the bathroom before you leave the house. So that was my morning today. And, just, get you started off on a great foot. And
just a typical morning. Typical morning with children and with boys.
I know. And so, of course, I called my husband and I said, you're not going to believe what happened, and I don't know what I'm going to do. And so he said, that's it. No more TV in the mornings. They get to watching that TV, and they don't go to the bathroom before they leave. We say that tomorrow. TV will probably be on. And because it leaves us from feeling all crazy and everything. So, it's a lot juggling it in the morning. And I had to share that because that's just typical for us. And I was going to tell you another story, too. This has been a couple of years ago, but we were talking about how children often, they don't see other kids who are different than them. And so then when they do, they get a little startled. A couple of years ago, I always think about this, it makes me laugh. A couple of years ago, we were at the Lookouts game, and whoever the guy is that plays Louie, he's a midget.
Oh, okay.
Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
But it's good, though, for him to fit in the costume because it's really short. And but he's a grown man. So it was break, and he was out of costume, and he was walking around. And my son, the look on his face, I wish I could have videotaped it or had a picture. He did not. It was like utter confusion to see someone his height.
It was obviously a grown-up.
That had a mustache. And so afterwards he said, why did that kid have a mustache? He didn't realize that the guy was a grown man. He just saw, there's a kid. He's on eye level, but he has chest hair coming out of his shirt, and he has a mustache, and I can't figure this out. So that's pretty funny, though. And I'm sure that guy gets that a lot.
Yeah.
But, kids that think he's a kid.
Right.
Or they can't quite figure what's going on here.
Right. They can't quite put two and two together.
They can't. So it's pretty funny, though. Well, getting back to Style Works, because I've got Rochelle with me for the entire hour. If you have any questions, I want to give you the opportunity to call in. 614-5553. And if you're listening, you can always come onto the web at whoopfm.com, and we'll just open the phone lines now. Now, remember, I probably shouldn't say this beforehand. Sometimes we get some crazy callers here.
Honey, we love crazy. We love crazy.
And you never know what you're going to get. As
long as crazy buys a ticket to my fashion show.
I know. And you just never know what you're going to get because sometimes you get craziness. And one day we had a guy call in. Well, I won't repeat it because then he'll call back.
Okay.
And
I can handle crazy.
And I need to go back and watch that show because there are reruns that are on YouTube. If ever you want to see a past episode where we've had guests on, just go to YouTube and look up Sissy Social Circle, and you'll see past episodes. I need to look that up because it was when I had Nichelle Patel on, and from the Chocolate Box, and she came on, and the guy called in, and I know I got a little flustered. And I asked my husband later, I said, were you listening to the show? And he said, well, I just tuned in and you were chastising people for calling in with baking questions and not any other questions. I said, that was like the late night show that they called in for. And it was too early for that kind of business.
That's funny.
Well, while we're waiting on that, I do want to cover a couple of hot topics, things in the news. Here's one, and I'll get Rochelle's take on this. There was a rat found in a 96-year-old's birthday cake. Oh, my word. And this will put a damper on any birthday party. Family members of an elderly New York man say they found a dead rat in his birthday cake. Jake Valenti was celebrating turning 96 years old, and his family bought him his favorite German apple ring cake from King Cullen grocery store in Long Island. But Valenti noticed that the cake didn't taste right and began suffering from stomach pains. Relatives then discovered what appeared to be a rat's tail protruding from the dessert. Oh. The tail was 5 inches long, and the confection also contained what looked like the head of the rodent. They're demanding answers from the store, not exactly the birthday surprise you would hope for. Now, I can tell you that there are certain limitations, and I know years ago, and probably still the same, FDA, for certain things, they do allow a certain amount of rat hair and things. And I remember hearing that years ago about the Snickers bars. Now you'll never eat another Snickers bar again.
Way to ruin that cake visits it for me later, Sissy. Thank you. That should definitely go on cakerex.com. Have you seen that website?
No, what is it?
Cakerex.com.
Oh, is this the one where the people try to make the cake like Pinterest?
No, this is even funnier because they're not trying to be funny. This is where they have made a cake, and a lot of times it's like Bonnie Shoptron, owner of our gallery, went in one afternoon to go pick up a cake from a local grocery store, and she did it over the phone, and she said her son goes to Baylor, and she said, I need a big red B. And the lady said, okay, anything else? And Bonnie says, no, that's all I want on the cake. Big red B. Okay, great. White cake, big red B. Bonnie goes back that afternoon, picked up the cake. In words, it was written, big, red, B. And it's stuff like that on cakerex.com that is hysterical because it's where, they'll say, and underline it in green, and it'll say happy birthday, and then written out in words, underline it in green. And then, of course, funny cakes, funny looking cakes that aren't supposed to be funny, that type of thing. It's worth a few chuckles during the day.
So what's the website again?
Cakerex.com.
That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. I'll have to look on there. And tell me the name of the Pantone.
Pantone, Pantone, Pantone colors. They're the color gurus.
Okay, so I'll have to remember that. And the color for this year is sort of like a violet purple color.
Radiant orchid.
Okay, so you got any other fun apps or websites you can direct us to this morning?
Well, I'm always good. Let me see.
I want to see what she's probably a good internet shopper. Well, I just added Rent the Runway on mine because I rented a dress.
Really?
I did. It was great.
Really?
It was a little low cut, but I had to wear my shawl from Styleworks over the front.
See? We're so versatile.
I know.
So versatile.
I know. I got it, and I said, okay, that's a little bit like a hooker.
Yeah.
I mean, I just need the hooker boots, but I had to wear my shawl over the front. But it was I love doing that. That was a lot of fun getting it in the mail.
Yeah. Well, my husband, my shopping app website of choice is Zulily.com.
Okay, so I haven't got on that yet, because I need to.
In fact, Chris Haddock would love for me to be on restriction. He would probably delete that from my phone on a daily basis if he could. Yeah. But then I also stumbled across one just a couple of days ago called NoMoreRack.com.
Yeah.
And it's I guess it's when they have over abundance of the inventory, or maybe they've gotten to the low inventory and they just need to get rid of it. And it was everything from jewelry to women's clothes to otter boxes for your phone. I mean, so it was interesting, and it's one of those that'll get you in trouble because the prices are so low that why wouldn't you need a 5-speed juicer that also is a radio for $10? Who doesn't need that?
Yes. It's the truth.
It reminds me. It's sort of like a late night infomercial, but it's on your phone.
Did you post that thing? Was it you that posted the thing about the Target shopper the other day?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it's the truth.
It's
I read
funny
through it
because it's true.
It talked about a mom. You go make your Target shop. You go in and you're only going to get one thing,
and
then you walk by the dollar stuff and you're like, I'm not going to buy any of that. Oh, but wait a minute, I could use some of those.
Who doesn't need 47 Mardi Gras beads for next year for a party that you've never had? But by gosh, you'll have one next year.
Then you go over and you get a couple of shirts. Then I need this. Oh yeah, I need to make it over there because I needed razors. But then you go,
but wait, Target has such great furniture, and that pillow, I have probably needed that pillow.
And then you're like, oh yeah, it was shampoo that I needed. And then you go and you buy a few more things, and then you get to the register and you're sick because you realize
you forgot your razors.
Yes. And then you realize your bill is $200, and you think, I'm going to bring this stuff back. Mm-hmm. And then the lady says, no, you won't. And she says, I didn't say that out loud. She said, I know what you were thinking.
Mm-hmm.
And
so what they're all thinking. It's like a drug. It's like a drug.
It is. And I literally, every time I get in my car, I think, I don't need half of this crap. Mm-hmm. But I like it.
Every time. Or I go to Walmart. I go to Walmart for milk and wipes. I leave with $254 worth of I don't even know what, and no milk or wipes.
It's the truth.
Buggy full, overflowing.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
I always say, I'm never coming back here. But I always do. I always do. And I've left with scratches on my car from buggies. I've left with, I had a guy come up to me a couple of years ago and asked me for money. And it was weird because my purse was right there. And he came up and he said, and he had 2 little kids in the cart with him, a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. Oh, and he said, he said, ma'am, can you help me? My son here is on his last diaper and I need some money to buy some diapers. And I looked at these two dirty kids, and I mean, it nearly broke me.
Yeah.
And I never keep cash ever, but I gave him a $20 bill, and then he went off, and real quick with his buggy, went zooming off. And I don't know if he bought diapers. I never saw him again. And then I just stood there and cried. It just upset me so much.
Yeah.
Then now, like thinking back, it caught me off guard. I should have just gone to buy the diapers for him. But I can't think like that.
Well, and I had a similar incident like that happen where there was a young couple ahead of me, and they were discussing, and they had all of their groceries, everything laid out on the conveyor belt. And I heard them talking, and they were saying, okay, well, now if we've got this much gas in the car, then we'll be good the rest of the week. But if we put a couple of these things back, then we can get a little bit more gas, and then that'll take us into the weekend. And I thought, dear God, I have never in my life ever had to weigh groceries for my children, gas for my car. And so they were in front of me. And so I just, and this is nothing about touting my own horn, but I gave my card to the cashier and I said, just do it all. And it was still minimal. God love them. To them, it was probably a month's worth of groceries. But to me and my overly blessed and indulgent family, it probably would have lasted us a week. And they just sort of stared at me, and they really weren't sure what to say. And they weren't asking, they weren't begging. They had their little one there in the buggy with them. And I thought, that's what it's about. If I can do that, $50 for that one family, to let them put gas in their car. And they weren't looking at me. They weren't playing me. This wasn't, a scam, which unfortunately you have to be so prepared for and on the lookout,
I picked up a lady the other night. I don't know if I told you about that,
Sissy.
Lisa. Did I? I know. And I forced her in the car.
Sissy.
I know. I forced her. I yelled for her to get in the car with me.
Were your children in the car?
Yep.
Sissy.
I know. I'll tell you what happened. Took the boys to see the movie, the new Lego movie.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to see it the first day it opened. So I took them to the movie theater. And then when it let out, it was 9 o'clock because it was a 7 o'clock movie. It was a Friday night. Mm-hmm. So I took them to a 7 o'clock movie. And we're never we were so in the bed by then.
Yeah.
But it was 9 o'clock. And so I was talking to Andy on the phone, and he was asking how the movie was. And I was telling him, and I'm taking the back roads home, back country roads to get to our country house. Mm-hmm. and I don't like country music. So, but anyways, taking the back roads, and I'm talking to him on the phone, and I see there was this car parked sideways in the middle of the street. I couldn't get past it, but it was running, and you could see the lights were on. And I said, what is this? What's going on up here? I can't tell. And Andy said, what? And I said, well, there's this car up here. It's parked, and I don't know what they're doing. And all of a sudden, I see a woman jump from the side of the door, get out, and she's doing a fast trot, not quite run, but really fast walk, and her head's down, and she's clutching a purse. And she wasn't walking towards me. I mean, she wasn't walking towards my car, but in my direction. Mm-hmm. So because I'm so ADD, I immediately forgot I was talking to Andy and just dropped the phone. I did. And he listens to me. He's like, he's still
thank
talking.
God you did that, because if something had happened, then he would have heard.
Yeah, yeah. So I rolled down the window, and I've got the kids in the car, and I yelled, hey, are you okay? And she said, I don't know. And I could see her face was, he had been beating her. Mm-hmm. And so she was sobbing and everything. And so I said, get in my car right now. And she said, I don't know. And I said, I'm telling you, come over here and get in my car. So I start unlocking the door. So she runs around the back. She looks, and about that time, the truck was turning around, coming towards her. And so I said,
had he run her off the road?
No, but he was turning around to come back towards her, and that's where I was sitting. So I yelled for her to get in the car. So she stood there next to the car, and when she opened the back and saw I had children in the car, she had the most terrified look. And I don't know if he had a gun. I don't know, but she looked pretty terrified. And she said, I can't get in your car. You've got kids. And that's when I started yelling, get in right now. So she got in, shut the door, and I'm thinking, I'm yelling at this poor woman, and I don't even know who she is for her to get in my car, But she did, and then she was terrified. He was following us, and we kept going. And the kids were silent. I mean, big eyes. You could have heard a pin drop. So he went on, and I drove around, and I said, I'll take you wherever you want to go. And just take a deep breath. I felt like I was teaching yoga. Mm-hmm. Breathe. Just breathe. I said, you're okay. You're fine. He is not behind us. And where do you want to go? So I took her to her mom's house. And but I said, do you want me to call the police? And she said, no, of course.
Of course not.
No. Mm-hmm. And so then around that time that I remember, the phone was in the floorboard. And so I picked it up, and he said, what are you doing? And I said, I got a lady in the car with me, and I got to take her somewhere. I'll be home in a little while. He goes, all right, see you in a little bit. So, because he knows this is just typical.
This is just Sissy.
This is just typical. These are the things that happen. So I took her home, and then she started panicking, wondering if he was in the driveway. And I said, okay, well, if he is, we're going to keep going. And then it occurred to me, as she said, the road's up there. I said, Oh my gosh. Now, is this a dead end? She said, no, it circles around. And I said, oh, thank God. Because I thought, if it is a dead end, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I just pulled in and she kept apologizing. And then she got out and left.
How old was she?
I'd say mid-20s.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her since. And I thought about going by that house. But, you know, you don't.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just it was a hard situation, and so we got home and the kids run inside and they're like, Daddy, Mommy, start yelling, make this boy get in the back of the car. So I said, well, but it was the right thing to do, because what do? Do you just keep going when you see somebody's in danger? And later on, it could have been a scam, but she wasn't running towards my car, and I had to force her to get in. But looking back on that, I mean, I did put her in the back with my children, and my purse was back there. But you know. What do? She had a busted lip, and it's sad.
No, it is sad. It is sad. Sometimes you just have to trust your instinct.
You do. And
don't do it again. But trust your instinct.
Yeah, for real. I need to think that through.
My husband would have lit into me.
I know.
My husband would have called the cops on me.
Well, the funny thing is, we walked in, and Andy was still sitting in his same chair watching TV. And all the kids came running in, and he's like, so what was that all about? I just heard you yelling. At first, I thought you were yelling at the kids to get in the car.
God love that man, but if he's been married to you for 15 years, and how long did you date before you got married?
A year and a half, but we were engaged after a month. So he didn't really know.
You were not.
Yeah, we only knew each other a month. And I was not getting married. I was not going to have kids. And then you never know.
Then Andy, honey,
I know.
You knew what you were getting
That's
into.
exactly right. Sound over. Let me ask you a question. Here's a hot topic.
All right.
I've been thinking about. It's been on my mind this morning. So I have a Facebook friend. Mm-hmm. Hopefully he's not listening. And so we went to elementary school together, mm-hmm. but I haven't seen him since then. Mm-hmm. So he's entertaining in a few different ways. Mm-hmm. But there's no telling what he's doing for a living. I don't even know that he has a job.
Okay.
So he makes constant pleas for money on Facebook.
Defriend him.
What do you do? And then it's the sad story whenever nobody responds, and he'll say, okay, I've already asked 2 times. Nobody will help me. I'm way behind on my bills. I just need $150. So it's on my mind to think, well, do I send him money?
But no, you don't send him money.
But then what if he asks again?
No, you do not send him money. No, if he's reaching out to Facebook, he needs to help himself. That is my callous opinion. He can help himself. It is not up to you. You don't come to Facebook. Mm-mm.
I tell you, Facebook.
In fact, and you being you, I would probably just block him, because eventually you're going to send him money.
I do think so. I have just last month.
And you're not going to help him or his situation, because then you're right. He'll keep coming back, or he'll think he can come to others.
It's like feeding the raccoon that keeps coming back. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We got a caller. Good morning, and you're listening to Sissy Social Circle. Who do we have on the line?
I'm listening to you, Sissy.
Well, you tell me who this is.
This is Bob Gill.
I don't know a Bob Gill.
No, you don't. But don't you send that man any money.
Thank you, Bob.
Don't do it. I really...
He needs to get up off of his butt and go get a job at McDonald's for $10.25 an hour, and then he'll have some money.
Thank you, Bob. I agree.
I do. I need to just block it so I don't see those, because I feel like it pulls at my heartstrings every time I see it.
No, he's preying on good, tender-hearted people like you. But then he's going to run into somebody like me who's going to bite her tongue and tell him to go get a job, quit living off of society, be productive, and then she's going to defriend him.
Exactly what she needs to do. Tell him, Sissy.
I will. Hey, I appreciate it, Bob. I needed that. I need a good kick in the butt sometimes.
Thanks, Bob.
That's the truth. Now, let me tell you about this one, too. Here's another one. I tell you, these are all my Facebook problems. So there's another guy that I know, and he's an acquaintance. He's a brother of an acquaintance. And so, for whatever reason, I just have a tender spot for him, like I do. And I don't mean that in a sexual way. Really do not at all mean that in a sexual way. I just have a tender spot for him. And more than one time, he will post that he's going to kill himself. And he'll say, tonight's the night. I'm done with life. I'm going to end it. And so about...
Does anyone respond to this?
Well, people used to respond to it, and he has tried before, and once he ended up in ICU for a couple of days. So he's serious. He's ready. He's finished with life. And so it kills me. And I feel like, and it's usually one of those times where I need to make a policy where I don't look at Facebook before I go to bed. So it's like 10 o'clock and I'm winding down. I'm like, I'm just going to check, make sure I didn't get any messages. And then I'm looking, it's like, here's a picture of my kid. Oh, she just said her first word. Tonight's the night I'm going to kill myself. I'm over. I'm like, what? So then I'm like, I can't go to sleep now. Now I'm all jacked up. I'm like, So about a month ago, I was on, Lisa, did I tell you about this? So about a month ago, I was on the phone with him till 2:30 in the morning, trying to talk him out of it. And I'm not a very good negotiator, because I'll tell you, I almost pushed him towards the edge even closer. I did. It was awful. And so we were texting until 2:30 in the morning, and he was somewhere on Brainerd Road, and he wouldn't tell me where he was. He'd taken a whole bottle of pills, and he was going to lay on a car lot. And I said, well, check the cars. Sometimes they leave the doors open. At least you could lay in one of their seats. I mean, what do you do? But I told him, I said, listen.
If you all could see the face palm that I'm doing right now on my forehead, because God love you, Sissy. You are good as gold. They don't make people like you anymore.
I don't
you
know.
are not
Drive
real.
myself crazy.
You're going to drive yourself crazy. You take too much on. That's not a position you need to put yourself on. Number one, just because you shouldn't. That is just entirely too much for one person, especially just a common acquaintance to have to deal with. But then secondly, you're not equipped for that. There are people out there. There are therapists. There are police officers.
Well, that's
there
what
are
the police
workers.
got involved later.
Yeah,
he got
that's
arrested.
when it needs to be
later on that
passed
night.
over to that. And yes.
Well, this was what happened. So he says, I'm ready to die. This is the end for me, and I'm going to kill myself. Nobody cares about me anymore, and on and on and on. And so I said, they do. The people do love you. You're a special person. You have purpose on this earth, and you just got to find your passion. And I'm trying to encourage him here. And so I said, there's so much to live for. But then I started sharing with him my personal experience 3 years ago when I almost died, and I had that out-of-body experience on the operating table, and everything I felt. Well, do you know what he told me after that? He said, that sounds like a wonderful place. I want to go there now. I said, oh, no, I'm not very good. I didn't mean to push you further towards the edge. I'm supposed to be bringing you in, not closer to popping a few more pills. So I just, and then he ended up getting arrested that night, and I found out from a friend because the text dropped off at 2:30. He wouldn't text back, and I was trying to do anything just to keep him going, make sure he was fine. But they started getting kind of slurred there at the end. Well, then where do you send the police? Well, ended up getting his family members involved, and they found him, and the police got involved. And then he texted me back the next day that he was home, out of jail. He was just going to stick to the beer that day and not the pills. I said, just stick to the pills, lay off the beer and lay off the pills. So
at that point, you can look up in the yellow pages. You can pass him off a therapist name and number, and then this may get me some horrible death threats, but then you defriend him as well. I'm sorry, that is my personal, because you're going to take it on yourself, and I don't think that's someone who is within your capabilities of helping.
And then, you know what, I saw the people that I was friends with saw that I had responded so many times to his, death threats and whatnot. And they said, please, Sissy, take this seriously, because when people make those threats, I had a friend years ago that ended up killing themselves.
Well, I mean, you read about that all the time. These poor high schoolers that have been bullied, and they say, I'm going to do it, or nobody loves me, and then they follow through with it. So, yes, no, I understand your passion and your need to respond, and I'm not saying that I'm by no means indicating that he is insinuating that he's lying or reaching out for attention. I just think it's beyond your scope to help. That's all I'm saying.
It is, and today, and it just strikes me on whatever day you hit me on, because this afternoon, I'll be going to the funeral of a friend who just passed away last week from ALS. And so today, if somebody's got a suicide threat today, I have no sympathy. Because here was somebody who wanted to live. And it's interesting how God works in special ways, because last week was the first time my show had been canceled due to the studio was going to be doing some electrical work and some changes. And I'm telling you, the place looks great. It's so nice in here. Not that it wasn't before. It's just nicer. Isn't that the way I should put it? Yeah. It's just nicer. And so it's a great change. So last week, Lisa said, can we cancel your show because we got to do some electrical work?
Thanks. It was my show, Lisa.
And she was supposed to come on, and she was so good. She said, I'll come on this week instead. And so it enabled me, dropped the kids off at school, and I went straight to my friend Linda's house and spent the morning with her and spent 3 hours with her, and left about 11:30.
How priceless is that?
She passed it 45 minutes later. So I got to spend the morning with her, and I was very, very thankful for that. And isn't it funny, Lisa, how things work? So this afternoon, I'm going to her funeral, and But, if you've ever had anyone who's had ALS, which is Lou Gehrig's disease, I think it's probably the worst diagnosis you could be
one of my sorority sisters lost her mother to that, and then my parents, their longtime neighbors across the street, he's been diagnosed late in life with it and is struggling. And then we have a dear, precious friend whose 32-year-old son was just diagnosed with it back in October. And it is just devastating and heartbreaking. I think you're right. I think it's just one of the most terrifying things that a person and their loved ones can go through.
It is, and kind of on a side note, she had a beloved dog. She does. She had a beloved dog, and the dog, I found the dog probably 10 or 11 years ago on the side of the interstate. It's back when I used to be a drug rep, and I was driving, and I would drive through Middle Tennessee, and I saw two nasty looking dogs on the side, and they were just covered in fleas and ticks and filth. Well, those of you that know Manchester know the Jiffy Burger, and it's just a little drive-in there. And I'd ordered the wrong hamburger. It had 2 patties on it instead of 1, so I had an extra hamburger patty in my car. So I pulled over on the side of the interstate, and I went running down the road, swinging that hamburger.
Scream at them to get in the car like you screamed at that poor woman?
I did, but at this time I had a hamburger patty. I did not for the woman. And so I was waving that hamburger patty in the air, and I got those 2 dogs in the back. They were filthy, and I loaded them up and drove home with them. And I knew they were going to get hit by a car. So my dear friend Linda took one of those dogs, cleaned the dog up, and the other one, I another story. What happened to that one? That dog was annoying, but this is a different story. So this dog, the loving one, she took, and she still has that dog. And it's interesting how dogs know what's going on. And so the dog has been laying across her, and just the last 2 days of her life, the dog wouldn't leave her bedside, No. And so I told her the week before, I said, if you want me to take the dog, she has 1 son, and he typically lives out of the country, and I said, I'll take the dog for you if you want me to. She said she wanted me to. So
full circle, and now you have
and now I've got that dog again. But the funny thing is then I kind of thought, oh, how am I going to tell Andy this?
Again, like we've discussed, Andy knew, Sissy. He's probably just lucky that's all you brought home.
I know, exactly. Well, one thing I have not told him yet is that the dog, we've got our 2 dogs that stay inside, so this one does too. But this dog sleeps in the bed under the covers. I know. So there goes his romantic life, because there'll be a dog in the bed.
You have 4 children under the age of 10. I didn't know you had a romantic life.
We did 4 times. 4 times. After that, it stopped. Well, on that note, and thanks for calling in, Bob. I love getting a caller, and thanks for listening, because you never know who's listening. And Bob, if you want to go to Stallworks, give Michelle
come on, Bob, come see me.
Come and get your mani pedi. And
you'll trim your bangs, Bob.
Yes, and your mimosa and your mani pedi, and we'll put you on the front row. So, with that said, go to Siskin. Tell us what is the website again?
It is Siskin, which is SISKIN.org, and then to get to our page, it's /Styleworks, which is all one word.
And so I hope to see you all there, and tune in soon. We've got some more shows coming up pretty soon. And just as a little teaser, I'll tell you what we've got coming up. On the 31st, we'll have Kathy Thaggart and Carol Hoops, and they're going to come talk about their Style Exchange, which is a fundraiser that you can go sell your clothes, shoes. Sometimes they take some household items and handbags, and I believe it's a 70-30 split. So it's better than any consignment store in town, and the proceeds from that will go to a no-kill shelter. They've been doing this for several years, and it's a great way to get a return on some of those items that you may not wear anymore. So they'll be on in a couple of weeks. And with that said, thanks for listening in, and I'll see you all here again next Monday.